Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kaushik Belani, and I represent a company called McGraw-Hill Education, and we are a learning science company. And I'm sure you don't know what learning science is. So what is learning science? And I'll quickly tell you what learning science is. Learning science is our approach to improving outcomes. And that's why I'm going to talk about using artificial intelligence for real learning outcomes. Right? So it's not oxymoronic. It is actually the truth. You can actually use AI and predict learning outcomes, predict the learning path, and predict when people are going to learn, when people are going to forget. And I'll try and do that in exactly 10 more minutes, as Elliot's put out. And I hope we can have questions after that, okay? So how do we do this? You know, it's not about a cool technology. It's technology is as cool as it can get, and you saw some Microsoft technology, pretty cool, right? But technology is not about everything. It's how you apply it and how you use it. And you know what we do is we're trying to talk about using our proven content and having a deep understanding of how students have learned. We've been in the business of learning for the last 130 years across the world, and we apply that science of learning with our technology, with our innovative technology, and marry the science of learning with the art of teaching. And at the intersection of this is a real outcome, right? So when you hear McGraw-Hill talk about it, we will not be talking about a learning environment without teachers. So Elliot, Catherine, you guys have a long way to go, right? We need you there. But you're going to be a different role, and we will make sure that we work with educators and instructors to provide learning resources which have artificial intelligence embedded in them to predict learners' outcomes. And that's what we're trying to do. And I'll talk to you about that in the next couple of minutes. Is this working? This is real stuff, right? So how do we do this? And you know, the way we use it is the platforms are actually self-learning. There's heuristics built in them. There is embedded content and platform probes which detect the learner's learning path and actually predict which learner is on what learning path. It also predicts when a learner is actually going to forget something. Cool, huh? And that's when the system prompts the learner to remember and revise. That's how we all learn, right? We always forget a bit, then we learn and revise, and that's what we do. And this is a self-fulfilling cycle. It's a cycle, it's a virtuous cycle. Actually makes the system more intelligent. It makes the system more intelligent about you and you and you as an individual learner. So everybody has a different path, and the system can track each learner independently. And you know, by the way, we all have learned from books. You can't do that from books, right? Can you? I don't think so. So let me talk quickly about how we see AI and artificial intelligence and learning and education. I'm going to talk about 5 Ps, right? One is, of course, the pupils, the student, the learner, and the parents, the professors, and you have 2 of them on the stage right here, and of course a lot of you in the audience, and the promoters, the people who run the educational institutes, the people who provide education service delivery to all of us. And you know, there are various key RAs or lookabouts for all the 4 Ps there, and quickly run through what are the students looking for. Students are looking for something which is easy to learn, which is comprehensive, which makes it fun to read and learn. Whereas if I look at, this is a video, for parents, they need proof of learning, right? Parents have pressure, and we heard a couple of parents talk about peer pressure, but what they're looking at, proof of learning in their child and the path to success. They're anxious there, right? AI can actually help reassure the parents and get some patience into them that you know their child is learning, that learning is happening. If I look at the professors, you know, they are actually, and I'm not saying this because I've got 2 panelists here, they are actually overpaid. No, they're actually underpaid and overworked. No, we haven't really invested in them at all, right? We've invested in technology, we've invested in big campuses, we've invested in flashy tools. Have we invested in the professors? Have we done anything about their capacity and skills as times have changed? Have we looked at what can we do to help them scale and expand? their ability to learn and transform learning in learners? We haven't. And I think AI can play a big role in taking all the drudgery of time that they spend out, give them more time to teach and make sure learning happens. And remove all the manual tasks and let the computer do it and give them enough data. Today, they lack data in terms of which learner is learning. And that's the role of AI, and that's how we do in our platforms. And of course, the promoters, they want rankings to improve. They want their schools, their colleges to improve better. And if you have proven learning outcomes, obviously your ranks will go up. You'll be the preferred choice of students to learn, preferred choice of people to work for you in your institution, right? So we've used artificial intelligence to provide learning outcomes in our products, and have real solutions out there today being delivered. We had a couple of workshops yesterday and early today, and we've actually shown that, and thank you to the city of Vizag for allowing us to co-experiment with you, and we've got fantastic outcomes, real outcomes using these AI tools. And quickly run through, I'm giving an example of how we've done it in a product called Learn Smart. And it's a product called Smart Book. We've been doing books for the last 130 years. Now we call them smart books, because smart books can actually test what you're learning as you go along and actually give you content which you need to learn at the right time. And I'll skip through a couple of slides, but what this does is a smart book actually gathers data as you learn and provides inputs on what you need to learn and when, right? And we've used some technologies. There are 4 theories which you've done, and I'll quickly go there. This is how a learner responds. When a learner responds to a question, this is how they respond. And this is about financial accounting. And if they're answering a question here, they can answer any of the choices on A, B, C, D. But when they answer, they need to clarify whether they know the answer, whether they think so, they're not sure, or they have no idea. And the system tracks each learner individually as to what curve they're on, and then throws new content, tougher questions, or easier content at them. And hence, a learning path is personalized for each individual student. And there is a system running at the back, right? And each student is kept engaged adequately depending on their level of learning, on their level of comprehension. And of course, the trick is that they don't get away and everybody masters the concept, right? They may take more time. Somebody takes 10 hours, somebody takes 4 hours, somebody takes 7. The average time is 6, but everybody completes and masters it. Otherwise, they don't go forward, right? And the system keeps them engaged there. That's how the learning platforms have become. So this is one of the technologies we've used is metacognitive theory. How many psychologists in the audience? Any psychologists in the audience? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So you know what metacognitive theory is, right? When you know what you don't know, you know then what to learn, right? And that's how people start learning. And that's a natural learning path. We also used rigor and practice, and that explains the exit and the mastery levels. And that's how AI is being implemented today. How many of you know this? It's a term called a forgetting curve, right? Psychologists, hats off to you again. It can actually predict when you will forget what information you'll be learning. And the platform throws that content back to you to revise at that time, right? So making sure that you do not forget concepts that you learned and revised, and gets you to commit them to long-term memory. That's what these platforms do. And we've used that in our platforms using Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. Quickly, just to show you an example of what we've done, and obviously there is gaming, there is fun and facts embedded there. Otherwise, learners today have a very short attention span. They start moving around, right? The system keeps them engaged and nudges them in a proactive manner, positively going forward. There's work in Alex as well, which is a numeracy platform. And before I quit, and I know this is going to sound a deadly buzzer, right? I can stop that.
There you go. There you go.
But, I'm trying to tell you that there's a future out there, and you need to be ready for that, where you don't read books, you read smart books, which read you. It's spooky, don't worry. It's happening all the time, right? And this is ready and available today. And this is the use of AI as how we see it going forward in learning. And so get ready for those books which read you. Thank you. Back to you, Elliot, Catherine.